Hello and Assalamu alaikum. This is me, Mahmood Khan, your English language instructor, your facilitator, your teacher. I strongly hope everybody is good enough, safe, back home. You must be taking care of yourselves. And as you know that we have come up with this online learning program to bridge this communication gap between you and us, to bridge this gap that has occurred in our studies. So today is the very first episode of this particular online learning program, and I hope you learn a lot out of this video. So the topic I have chosen today is conditional sentences. Of course, we are going to begin this particular online learning program with grammar, English grammar, and the first topic from this English grammar is conditional sentences. Now, what are conditional sentences? Conditional sentences, as the name suggests, conditional is from condition. And what is condition? Condition, some sort of provision, something if fulfilled, we get some results, right? So conditional is from condition. Conditional sentence, a sentence that talks about a condition. So this is something that you can safely assume, even if you have not gone through conditional sentences before, but you can have some educated guess that this might talk about some condition. And if you are thinking the same, you are right. Conditional sentences definitely talk about conditions. And they do not only talk about conditions, they also talk about their potential results. Because if you fulfill a particular real condition, you will get the real results, right? In this particular hard time where pandemic actually has gripped the whole world, where you see everybody is in one way or the other is badly affected by this coronavirus, you see if we do not keep ourselves safe, if we do not keep ourselves clean, if we do not put on a mask, if we do not wash our hands, if we do not take care of ourselves, what will happen? Definitely, we will catch this virus. We will endanger ourselves. We will infect other people. So you see, there are certain conditions and there are certain results. If we do not take care of ourselves, if we do not follow the precautionary measures, we will have these potential results, which are of course not good for us. So a conditional sentence is a sentence that talks about a condition and a result. There are many kinds of conditional sentences in English language and English grammar. Like, let me utter some sentences to you. All of them are conditional sentences. Let's say, father says to son that I can give you the keys of my car provided that you drive safe. So in other words, father is saying that I can give you the keys of my car on the condition that you drive carefully. So there is a condition in the sentence, but there is no if. So this is the conditional sentence, but without if. Likewise, if I say, students will not be allowed to attend the class until they pay their fee. It's another conditional sentence. That means students must pay their fee before they attend the class, otherwise they will not be allowed. This is also a condition, but without if. So there can be conditional sentences where you have if, there can be conditional sentences where you don't have any if. But conditional sentence must talk about a condition and of course a potential result. Today we are going to talk about conditional sentences, but which particular conditional sentences? We are going to talk about if conditional sentences, right? So there is a big if. If conditional sentences. If, as the word suggests, talks about a condition. So today the conditional sentences that I'll be teaching you, you'll be learning out of me, will be if conditional sentences. And since if conditional sentences are 3 or 4 sometimes, So it's very difficult to cover all of them up with examples and explanation in one video. So this could be the very first video of this series of lectures on this conditional sentences, if conditional sentences. So let's begin. If conditional sentences are the sentences that talk about condition and result with if clause. Now don't you get confused with a word, with a jargon clause. You have been making sentences, you have been using sentences, and a sentence definitely has a verb, a subject, clause. You may call clause a nickname of sentence. So a sentence can be a clause can be a sentence, right? So we have in conditional sentences, if conditional sentences, we have if clause that talks about condition and a result clause that talks about a result. How many kinds of if conditional sentences are there generally? For you, I would suggest there are 3 types, right? There can be 4 types, and there are 4 types actually, but the 4th one, type 0, is not that generally used. So these 3 types are commonly seen, commonly written, commonly spoken, so I would like to talk about these 3 first. In fact, I would like to talk about these 2 types more specifically, because type 1 refers to present and future, whereas type 3 refers to past, right? Type 2 for now is being skipped, right? We'll do this sometime later. Let's get back to the board. Type 1 is something we are going to begin if conditional sentences today. Type 1. As you can see on board, I guess this would be better if I stand here. If conditional type 1. Now, as I said earlier that there are 3 types. Majorly there are 3 types which have different functions. All of them talk about condition and result, but in a different way, in a different tense, in a different aspect, right? So how are they different from one another? We'll discuss later. So as I said, we are going to begin with if conditional type 1 today. So here you are. Use. Where to use if conditional type 1? It is used for present real conditions and results. Real conditions and results. Definitely we have 3 tenses: past, present and future. But we have divided tenses in these 3 major categories so as to facilitate the users of this language, so that they may easily differentiate between past, present and future. But scientifically speaking, every upcoming moment is future and every passing moment is past. There is no present, because time never stays. Time never stops. So if it keeps moving on, every upcoming moment is future and every passing moment is past. If I have written here for present real condition and results, so here present may refer to future as well. Or let me put it this way, that for present real condition and future results. As I said earlier that every upcoming moment is future. So if you fulfill a condition in present, you'll definitely get results. Future results, maybe the very next moment you make a decision in present, the very next moment you get a result. So every upcoming moment is future, so that refers to future. Now, this particular word is very important to understand. What is a real condition? What is a real condition? It could be unreal. See, if a condition is as such that it can be fulfilled, it is possible to fulfill that condition, then it's a real condition. And if it is not possible to fulfill this particular condition, It's unreal. So if something is unreal, it can never be fulfilled. So when a condition is not fulfilled, how can you achieve the potential results? You can never do it, right? Let me give you an example to further clarify what I'm saying. Real condition. If I say, just suppose everybody loves cricket in Pakistan, especially, right? And we support our cricket team, no matter how badly they play, but we still want them to win the match. Just suppose, you see there are certain experts, there are former cricketers as well, sitting as commentators. They talk about weather conditions, they talk about pitch report, they talk about field placement, they talk about both the sides, their strengths and their weaknesses. And, sorry, if the commentator is making a sentence that if Pakistan wins the toss, elects to bat first and score 300 runs on this pitch, they will win the match. Now, scoring 300 runs on this wicket is not unreal. This is real, because we have seen, history bears witness that there are teams in one day international, they have scored even beyond 400 runs, even on the worst wickets of the world, right? So this is something real. Winning a toss is not something impossible. You may win, you may lose. So it's a real condition. But if I say, if, suppose it's raining outside, and I am standing by my window and I am just having a strong feeling, a deep desire to fly, because I see birds flying off, flying away, and I'm sitting by my window and I'm watching the birds flying away, chirping around, and I say, if I were a bird, I would fly away like them. But can I be a bird? Not at all. Now this condition is not real. This is an unreal condition. I am a male, of course, but if I say, if I were a lady teacher, I would tart myself up. I would groom myself before I come to your class. But I am a male teacher. I can never be a female teacher. So if I say, if I were a female teacher, this is unreal. So in type 1, what we are going to talk about is not unreal thing. This is real condition and future results. As I said earlier, if the condition is real, future can be secured, future can be achieved, potential future results can be acquired. So I hope you understand up till now. Let's move on to the structure. The structure says, as I said earlier, that there are two clauses, and clause is a sentence, of course. It's a nickname of a sentence. There are two clauses. One clause talks about result and the other clause talks about condition. Here you can see future simple is used for result clause, and if plus present simple is used for conditional clause. Whenever you want to talk about if conditional in type 1, you will use present simple, and whenever you talk about its potential real results, you will use future simple. I have further explained that result clause is also called independent clause. Independent, like we are a Muslim state, we are living independently, right? We are not being forced by anyone to stay indoors, we are not being forced by anyone to worship in our mosque or other places of worship. Everybody, be it Muslim or non-Muslim, is living with their own freedom, with their own rituals and traditions and all that. Independent clause refers to a clause, a sentence, which is not dependent on any other. I'll explain you how. So result clause is also called independent clause, whereas conditional clause is a dependent clause, because it depends on some other clause to complete its meaning. There are certain sentences in English, there are certain verbs in English which are called the verbs of incomplete predication. Now what does it mean? It actually means that if a verb is used without a word or a phrase, they will not give their complete meaning. Like for example, if I say, it seems, I stop. Now, the meaning of sentence is not clear because seem is a verb of incomplete predication. I need some other words to complete the meaning of this verb. Maybe I say, it seems to me that he's sick. You seem to be, the sentence is not complete. You seem to be sick. I need a word, right? So, like in this particular sentence, seem is depending on some other words or word to complete its meaning. Likewise, we need some other clause to complete the meaning of this particular word. Like if I say, if you work hard, sentence is grammatically correct. Okay. But if you work hard, now the listener thinks of a result. If you work hard, so what happens if I work hard? Will my father give me a car? Will my father give me a cell phone? Will my father appreciate me? Will my father praise me in front of everyone? What will happen if I work hard? Now something is missing. This is why this if clause is called dependent clause. It needs another clause to complete its meaning. And it is a conditional clause, of course. Now let's take an example. And one more thing I would like to share with you. If is a conjunction, is a connector, is a connective. What is the function of a conjunction or a connector? To combine two words or sentences or clauses, right? So here you can see if in the structure, if is being used in the middle because the prime function of a connector is to combine clauses or words, so better be used in the middle. It can be used in the beginning, that would not be wrong, but I strongly recommend you to use if clause later so that if may fall in the middle of two clauses. Now the example says, you will get good grades. Suppose, like I'm your teacher, I'm delivering this lecture right now, for now. I am talking to you and I say, well, you will get good grades if you work hard. A teacher is talking to students. You will get good grades if you work hard. The result is being shown in the beginning and then the condition is there. You will get good grades. Like a father is talking to his son and says, I'll give you a car if you score well in your upcoming exams, right? Likewise, a teacher is talking to students, you will get good grades if condition, you work hard. So your scores, your grades depend on your hard work. No hard work, if no hard work, no good grades. Because it's then a miracle if you don't work hard and if you get good grades. It's a miracle and it doesn't usually happen. For getting, for securing, for acquiring good grades, you must work hard. Without hard work, nothing is possible. Now one additional thing which I want to share with you here is these clauses like this result clause, because it speaks of result. This particular clause with if talks about condition, this is why it is called conditional clause. This talks about condition and this talks about result. These clauses can be inversed. If clause may be used in the beginning, likewise result clause may be placed later. So it could be if you work hard, you will get good grades. That would not be wrong. But again I would say, I strongly suggest you to use result clause first and conditional clause later. There is a logic. The logic says, if you are required to make a question with a conditional sentence, then you cannot form your question beginning with if clause. You will have to use result clause first to form a question. So why not to develop this habit of using this result clause first so that you may not feel any difficulty later on while forming a question? Let's take this example. You will get good grades if you work hard. Now the question would be like, will you get good grades if you work hard? So a question is always formed with a result clause. So I strongly suggest you, advise you to use result clause first. Develop a habit of using result clause first so that you may find it easy to form questions later, right? So here we are with the very first topic today, If conditional sentences, let me give you a quick recap of this particular lecture. We discussed today if conditional sentences, and I only told you about 3 types, type 1, type 2 and type 3. And I also told you that during my lectures, online lectures, I will be covering type 1 and type 3 because I think they are more important. Type 2 is being shelved for some other time, right? Type 1 talks about present and future, and I talked about future. Future, actually, people generally have a misconception in their mind that future is something maybe 24 hours later, maybe a day later, a week later. It's not like that. Every upcoming moment is future and every passing moment is past. Future is everywhere. Every upcoming moment is future. So if you fulfill a condition, this moment, maybe the very next moment you get an offer, that's future. Because upcoming moment, every upcoming moment is future. Now it depends whether it is the very next moment, the very next day, the very next week, the very next year, right? So I explained in detail today if conditional sentences, if conditional type 1. Why it is used, where it is used for present real conditions and future results. Real, of course, because if the condition is real, potential results can be secured. Structure, excuse me. Structure says future simple to be used for result clause and present simple to be used for if clause or conditional clause. Conditional clause is also called dependent clause and result clause is also called independent clause. I gave you this example. Let me give you a few more examples orally before I wrap this up. A few more examples can be, if you litter garbage here and there in your classroom, if you litter garbage here and there in your classroom, your teacher will punish you. Now, which particular conditional sentence it is? It is if conditional type 1. That talks about real condition. Children are children, boys are boys. They generally don't take care of their manners much. So, they litter. And it's a common practice actually during the break time you may have witnessed. They litter the garbage here and there, right? So, littering garbage is a real condition. Children do such things. And spotting a child doing such thing is also real. Teacher may witness that there is a child who is throwing preppers and all that, right? So this is if conditional type 1's example, that if you litter the classroom here and there, your teacher will punish you. And this can also be inversed. Your teacher will punish you if you litter the garbage here and there in the classroom. A few more examples could be, if you go out in the sun now, you will get heat stroke. It's too sunny outside and I can see that the temperature is somewhere around 40s, right? It's hitting, running into 40s, right? And this is terrible weather, right? If I do not put on a cap, if I do not cover myself well, if I do not take precautionary measures, and if I go out in the sun uncovered, definitely I will get heat stroke. So this is also a real condition, and when the condition is real, potential results can also be secured. So, well, before I wind up this video, I would like you to go through this video over and again until you fully understand each and every single word used in this video. Go through it, maybe once, twice, thrice, as many times as you can. And regarding this particular video, regarding this particular if conditional type 1, I would like to share with you certain worksheets, some online resource material and some in hard copies. So take care of yourselves, do go through this video, and I hope we'll meet you next time very soon. Thank you.